Alright, we're back. Part 9, turn-based combat. Turns out I had a fundamental misunderstanding of how animation events work. Um, and, that's another thing I'm really glad I'm doing this tutorial series for, is it's helping me learn new things as well. Um, which shouldn't be a surprise, because I'm learning new things all the time, just through doing this kind of stuff. But, so my misunderstanding, I should clarify, um, is, let's go to the animation, it should be in here. So in the animation event, all of these fields beneath the function field are parameters that are being passed to the function. So we don't actually want to pass any parameters. We can go ahead and apply that. But what we do want is a receiver for this. So the event is just sent to whichever object the animator is on. So we're going to need to create some sort of receiver component. And to do that, let's go ahead and right click, create a C# script. And we'll call this animation event receiver. I've not spelled that right at all. Receiver. I before E except after C. There we go. Receiver. There we go. Only took a couple of tries. Let's go ahead and drag that onto idle 1. Let's go ahead and drag that onto idle 1. So you now have this. I'll put it on all of them for now, so we can see that this is happening. Let's go ahead and open this up to edit it. It's been a long time since we've seen this default script, huh? And messing around this too much, but anyways. So what we want is we want a reference to our turn combat manager so we can call the events that we are passed. So we don't really need anything except start. So we'll create a private reference to the turn combat manager. Let's call him manager. And here we'll just in start do a manager equals. So you know what? Let's make it easily accessible. So let's go ahead and over here we'll create a region for our half-assed singleton. It's not a full singleton because we don't want it to persist between scenes, but we want there to be only one of this object inside the scene. So we'll create a public static turn combat manager instance. We'll do a void awake, and if instance is null, then instance is this, else destroy this game object. So the first instance of this the first time this script runs, it'll assign the instance to itself. Otherwise it'll destroy the game object, so there won't be any duplicates of this object in the scene. And this static means we can also reference this instance whenever, which is really handy. And if you wanted this to persist between scenes, you could just add a don't destroy on load here, and that'll keep it persistent throughout scenes, as well as destroy any other turn combat managers within any other scenes that you have. But you shouldn't want this to persist throughout scenes, at least not the way I have it set up. Okay, so we have our singleton, so now we can just do manager equals turn combat manager dot instance. Cool. We don't need update. What we do need is enemy took damage. Well, this should be first off public, second off a function. Enemy took damage, and here we can just call manager dot enemy took damage. Cool. So now that we have that set up, we should actually see that our thing works. We go ahead and test combat. Go ahead and backslash, and we still need to figure out this input bug, where submit just doesn't work unless I only press it enough times. There we go. That has worked exactly as we intended it to. Awesome. So I guess for the rest of this episode, I was kind of in a rush just to fix that, or to show off my newfound knowledge. Let's go ahead and set up our other animations to send that message as well. So that would be all 4 of these. So let's go ahead and play this out. Okay, so I think somewhere around right there should be good enough for the event. So let's go ahead and add that. just do enemy took damage. And the fact that I didn't know this gets even worse when I've done this whole receiver pattern in a separate project I've been working on. So, anyways. And so this one's the you shall not pass one. So we have him that. I can send it right there. Of course, you can fine tune these more. I'm doing these purposefully after, just because I want, and make sure you spell these correctly, of course, as well. I'm doing these a little bit after because I want a separate event for the enemies to actually do their hurt animation. I'm about to sneeze here. Hopefully I can mute my mic in time when it happens, but it's not coming yet. Anyways, melee 2. Alright, somewhere around there. We'll go ahead and do enemy took damage. Go ahead and apply that. So now we should have that for all of our, attacks. Alright. Now the other thing we need to do is sort of fine tune our lerping in the play move phase. I really feel like I'm gonna sneeze, but hopefully that feeling goes away soon. So yeah, right here, we're kind of lerping a little bit too far. So I will go ahead and do vector 3 dir to enemy. I'm gonna do it right this time as well, which is the surprising part. Really finally learning from my mistakes. Position minus player.transform.position.normalized. And we'll just go ahead and subtract that dir to enemy. So that'll stop us a little bit before our a little bit before the enemy itself. And in fact, actually what we should do is move all of this. So we'll rename this to lerp position. And we'll take this and we will subtract that. And we want to go to lerp position, but we also want to make sure that the lerp position dot y is equal to our old position dot y, just so we don't move up or down. Okay. Now we have our lerp position. That should be cool. Let's go ahead and bring in some model and animation for our enemies, so we can set up all of those animations and stuff. And then in the next episode after that, we'll finally finish up with animations, and we'll move on to stats and stuff. So I've actually closed out of Mixamo. Let's go ahead and bring that back up here. Okay. Let's go ahead and change our character. So for enemies, we could do sort of any of these. This guy's clowning, but yeah, I'm just gonna stick with my original plan and just use Xbot as our enemy because they're red and it works. You can also upload your own character here. I don't think I have any good models on my computer, or I'd do that. But sure, let's roll with this character for now. So we need a couple of things. We need well, for now we just need a getting hit animation. In fact, let's just look up hit reaction, hit by car. Like, I don't want to have to be the exact same animations as the player. I'm trying to look for something a little bit different. We also need an idle for them. In fact, I should look at that first. That'll influence the way I decide to use their getting hit. Hmm. What does this look like? Yeah, sure, that looks sufficiently monster-like. Let's go ahead and download this. FBX for Unity with skin, frames per second 30, download. And let's go ahead and make a new folder here for enemies. This will be idle1. And let's go ahead and mirror it and re-download it for idle2. Actually, no, let's we can do that in Unity, so I don't want to worry about it. Is there another creepy idle animation? A drunk idle. That's creepy looking. I mean, this would work for like a flying type enemy, right? They're just doing this. Maybe this. I don't know. You know what? Let's go with this. Just download that. Call it idle2. And then we need an animation for getting hit. Whoa, what did I do? I opened something else. Okay. Cool. And now we can look for a action. We want this one or this one? I think this one. And let's go ahead and download that for hit 2. Once it's done preparing its download, go. Just name it hit 2. And drink some water here. Okay, I think we can roll with that for now. Let's go ahead and close out of that. Go back to Unity here. Now we have our enemies, and of course we need to make sure that we humanoid rig, create one from this model, and we'll optimize the game objects, and we'll go ahead and apply. And for these ones we will change it to humanoid and copy from the idle1 avatar. Apply. Cool. So now in our animation, we'll name this enemy idle1. We also want to make sure it loops. Apply those. Same here. Enemy idle2. Time. Apply. And enemy hit 2. I realize it's kind of stupid to have a hit 2 without a hit 1. But that's just because I didn't find one that would fit the first idle animation. So that's alright. Alright, now we do the same process where we drag an idle1 under each enemy. And for each enemy, go ahead and get rid of our mesh. Cool. Alright, and then for each of these we'll also rotate by 90 degrees so they're facing the right way. Okay, now we need to give him an animator override controller. So what we're gonna do actually, I think we can just duplicate this, create an enemy base. We do want this to be separate so we can edit it later in case enemies end up having different things. And we'll duplicate these. That's, never mind, we're not gonna do that. Okay, well, it's too late. We've done it. Let's go ahead and enemy 1, we also need to make sure that we get rid of that one at the end. Player 2 controller should actually be enemy 2 controller. This is the tedious part. Enemy 3 controller, and finally enemy 4 controller. Oh, forgot to get rid of the one at the end. Cool. And for all 4 of these, we want to change the overridden controller to the enemy base. And then for enemy 1, we're going to use enemy idle 1. For enemy 2, we're going to use enemy idle 2. And for all of these, we're just going to use enemy hit 2 for the hit 1. Okay. And let's go ahead and make sure that that all works fine. Idle 1 is the same for all of those. This should be enemy idle 2. Okay. And then the other thing really quickly, I'm just going to go and make copies of these. Then for this one, I'm just going to mirror apply. I also need to change the name this to 3 apply. And for this, change it to 4 mirror apply. And in our animator controllers, 3 we'll use 3, and for 4 we'll use 4. Pretty simple stuff assignment wise. So now if we hit play, greeted with this beautiful scene where nothing is actually working because I forgot to assign our animator controller. And we can't actually mass assign, unfortunately, because they each have different controllers. And of course, if you're doing it where you're triggering a battle with enemies in a different scene and you want to load in models here, you just have prefabs with all of this setup. Just make prefabs out of each enemy and load them out of resources or whatever into these spots. And I may cover that at the end if there's enough requests for it. Which, you know, surprisingly there haven't been many requests for this series at all so far. Which must mean I'm doing a good job, right? Okay, cool. So now we have our idle animations. Everything's looking great. So now what we need to do is create some sort of event for the enemies to take damage. So this is took damage, and then we want a public void take damage that will basically we're actually going to want to replace this with a while loop then. But what we want is to trigger the animation every time they take damage. So for attacks that hit multiple times, we can call multiple take damages without really affecting anything, and then when it's finally done, enemy took damage will be called, ending our attack. So take damage will need to have access somehow to the stuff that's going on in here. So I think the best way to do this would again be a boolean. Let me go ahead and move this down. Something like why is this? What am I doing? Coding is hard. Okay, yeah, we'll rewrite this now. We'll just set take damage equal to true in here, and then here we will replace this with while not enemy took damage. So while we haven't taken damage, make sure you'll return null here. If take damage, then we do enum dot, or sorry, we want enemy, what did I call it? Targets, right? For each combatant target in targets, target dot stats dot take damage, move dot, no, not move, player dot stats dot damage dot evaluate okay, they take damage. And then we want to, of course, set take damage equal false. I'm trying to think if there's, oh yeah, I also need to target dot anim dot set trigger. What did we call it? We called it hit. And then here we'll return null and target dot anim dot set trigger, reset trigger hit. Okay, and that should cover all of that. And so now we just need to do these take damage animation events, which we will do really quickly for one animation, make sure that it works, and then in the next episode we'll finish up with all of this stuff. I think I've been going for a while again. It's a bad habit of mine, where I just keep going. Okay, melee 1 events. This one has a bunch of attacks. There's one, we'll add an event there. It'll be take damage. Apply that. There's another one. Add another event here. This will also be take damage. Another one. So we'll add another event. Take damage. Make sure you're spelling it right. Another one. Cool. So this is our last one here. We'll add another event. Take damage. And apply. Cool. And now everything will work first try, except we need to do one more thing. So on our animation event receiver, we need to add another event that we are receiving, and that'll be take damage, and that'll go into manager.take damage. Cool. Now that we have all of that set up, the only other thing we need to do is add the animation attack event receiver to these models as well. Now if we go ahead and hit play, we go ahead and test combat. Okay, so no errors in the console. Enemy 1 animator. Can't tell if, hold on, let's do it this way. Enemy idle 1. Instantly being set back to false, but probably because it's during runtime. Okay, so that did not get triggered, which is troubling. Because it means that I did not do something correct here. Well, actually, we can watch we can watch this happen. Test combat, and we make sure to click on our enemy idle animation. Okay, so yeah, it did not get triggered, and I believe this might be the issue here. I'm gonna get rid of this stuff for now, and we will test again. And we'll link up our animator here. Alright, we should fix this input bug. Nope, that did not work. Let's go ahead and make sure that this is happening. So go ahead and okay, so the take damage things are being called, which means that this is being called. Take damage is being set to true. We're in this loop. So debug.log target name. Target.stats.name. If that's happening, then I don't know what else. Maybe I forgot to assign the animator somewhere. Find out. Yeah, I still need to figure out this input bug here. There we go. Yeah, so wait, that isn't happening. Cool. So this right here is not happening. Because our target's null, but it should not be. We have a target. So if take damage. Wait, oh, I know exactly what's happening, I think. So, in our animator, if this isn't it, I probably will just end the episode and then fix it in the next episode, just like before. I believe the issue is with these transitions. The animation event happens for well, no, that shouldn't be happening because took damage, or yeah, took damage is happening. I guess we can do bug.log damage. Like I'm not missing. Yeah, no, I'm not missing any logs here. Don't think. Game window. While not enemy took damage. Is enemy took damage happening before? It shouldn't be based on the order of events here. Yeah, actually, you know what? I've been recording for far too long. I'm gonna end the episode. I'll notify what the fix is, of course, in the next episode. Thank you all for watching. Again, it's sort of going off track because I decided to change up the order of the series. But hopefully you can all bear with me for a bit while I figure this out. Thank you all again. I'll hope you see you in the next part.